All right, in this episode, I'm here with Chris Ronzio, part 2 on the GSD show. Have you been on here before?
Yes.
My efficiency coach, and we're going to talk about some new apps since our last episode, which was many months ago, that you can use to be a more efficient business owner and person.
If you own a gym or you need a gym, this is your guy.
My name's Mike, and I help fitness studios that are ready to take action, work hard, and grow their studios. In this very saturated industry, there's tons of competition, but the opportunities are incredible. We'll cover the most common challenges in the fitness world and invite guests in the show that have learned to overcome them and share their strategies with you. This is the GSD Show. This podcast is sponsored by Causely. Causely helps fitness businesses get new members while giving back. We've partnered with Causely to give back to kids in need with this podcast, and here's how you can get involved. Each time you review this podcast on iTunes or share the episode post on Facebook, a meal will be provided to a child in need. It's that easy. Everyday actions can make a difference. Thank you for helping us give back, and to learn more about how Causely can help you grow your business, visit causely.com. Again, that's Causely, spelled Causely.com. All right, everybody. Mike Arce here. Welcome back to the GSD show. And today, I've got Chris Ronzio here. Say what's up, Chris.
What's up, everybody?
Hey, you're familiar to these guys already, especially our most loyal fans, as they've already seen your episode. It was like episode 7 or something like that?
I think so, pretty early.
A long time ago. And we're now on episode, is this 61, Sam? 61.
Wow. Lots happened, huh?
Never missed a week either. So we know we're 61 weeks in for sure. But I had to have you back in because, as you know, it's 2017. A lot of things change, and your specialty is efficiency and understanding how to use technology and how to use tools in order to make your life work better, faster, and more efficient.
Yes.
First things first, Organize Chaos. What do you do? How do you help people? Explain that a little bit.
So we work with businesses that are usually from 2 employees to maybe 50 employees, or departments that are that size, to help them be more efficient so they don't have bottlenecks and their life and business is just easier.
Which is pretty common to have all these bottlenecks as a small business owner, right?
Totally.
Why is that?
As you're building a business, you're just sort of stacking and layering things on top of each other. And it's kind of like building a house that you just keep putting additions on. And after so much time, you just can't find where your room is anymore because it's a maze.
What would the day one look like? We just met, first day. What's your process?
Yeah, so we have a 3-part process. We call it the 3 C's. So the 3 C's are context, chaos, and clarity.
Okay.
So when I first start working with someone, it's either that I'm working one-on-one with an owner, a founder, something like that, or I'm working with their whole team. And we bring my business in. We have 10 employees right now, and we'll work with their whole team to organize them and then get things done. So let's just say it's one-on-one. If I come in, we're going to focus first on the context of your business.
Okay.
Which is first the background story. Why did you start it? What were you doing before? Why did you get into this business? What did you want out of it?
Do a lot of people have a hard time articulating that?
No, it's actually pretty natural.
That's the easy step?
Yeah, but you don't think about it a lot. I remember talking with you about why you wanted to start your business and what you had done before. And you were a trainer and you sold pizza and you did all this stuff. But that context of where you came from is really important in terms of where you're trying to take the company. So helping me understand that is a great first step. And if you're doing it yourself, maybe it's just time to reflect on that to remember why you got into it in the first place.
Okay.
So then next, after just the basic context of the business, we go through goals. So the way I like to do it is we start either 5 or 10 years out, whatever makes sense for them based on the conversation, because some business owners know for a fact they don't want to be doing their business in 10 years. It's a means to an end. Some other people, it's a lifestyle business and they want to have it. So we start 5 or 10 years out and say, what does your life look like?
If you're wondering why I chose this song, it's because Chris Ronzio has an amazing talent, and if you stick around till the end, we're actually going to show you. But you could probably already tell that Chris is the man when it comes to efficiency, developing processes, and getting shit done. He even wrote a book on 100 hacks to improve your business, and today he's giving you the digital version of that book for free. All you have to do is go to thegsdshow.com/E061. Again, that's thegsdshow.com/E061 to go ahead and get that copy. Remember to stick around to the end, but in the meantime, back to the episode.
How big's your team? How many employees do you have? How many offices do you have? What customers are you serving? What products and services are you offering? How much time are you working in the week? Where do you
Financially, what are you making?
How much are you making? What's the revenue of the company? Based on what you're making, what are you doing with that money? Are you donating? Are you going on vacation? So we try to quantify what that world looks like of wherever they're trying to get to. And then we take it step by step backwards. So if we started with 5 years, maybe the next step is, okay, how much of that could you do in 3 years? What's reasonable? So maybe you said, I want to personally make $250,000 a year in 5 years. Well, how well do you think you can do in 3 years? And then we say 2 years, and then 1 year. And it really helps frame the conversation around where you want to get 12 months out. And that's where we start.
Okay. So you go from goals, you determine what somebody wants to accomplish, and then you break down, okay, now that we know the what, we know the why, right, was first one, the context. Now let's start working on the how. How are we going to get there?
Yeah.
So what do you do next? Okay.
Yeah, so just through the conversation of talking about goals, some things start to surface. People will express that they have certain problems, or they know that they need to make another hire, or something's not working. And so we're recording all of that. And that becomes the start of a data dump, which are a brain dump, which we did together.
Okay.
So we go through an exhaustive process first where we talk about their business model. How do you get sales? How do you hire employees? How do you train employees? What do you do once you
just asking those questions probably reveals a lot that they don't have in place already.
Sure.
And they probably start realizing, holy shit, I don't have a lot of that set up.
Right. And so talking through just the how does it work, start to finish, of someone's process is point number 2 that reveals a lot about the business and about the vulnerabilities and the projects that they need to work on.
All right, so cool. So you do the brain dump, reveals all that. Is there anything more in the chaos category?
Yeah, so that brain dump, what we're trying to get is the chaos of the business, which is really why I started the company. So entrepreneurs, business owners, I think are just overwhelmed. There's so much going on. And it's, you asked earlier, what causes the chaos? It's opportunity overload, really, because there's so much that we could do. There's so many ways we could spend our time. We have so many ideas. You think of things, and they just start to pile up. And
does that sound familiar for your customers? Oh man, I don't know if I should eat healthy, if I should do this. I got the keto diet, I got the South Beach diet, and then I got this gym. Should I do yoga? I got every magazine's telling me to do something different. They all contradict. And what do you usually say? Dude, just start with at least one of those things, right? And let's do one well. If you're going to eat well, So, okay, go ahead.
Yeah, so chaos, the chaos part of our exercise is about taking inventory of everything, unloading everything, unpacking everything, harvesting everything we can. So again, one-on-one, it's just an interview with the owner to do that brain dump. When we work with a whole company, we actually sit down and do half-hour interviews with everyone in the company, because there's things that different people in the company are aware of, or ideas they have, issues, inefficiencies, the 3 I's we call them, that they haven't mentioned to anyone. And we have to gather all that stuff before we can figure out what to do with it.
So now once we do all that, that's clarity? You cover clarity?
No, that's chaos.
That's chaos, okay.
So clarity is step 3. So what we're trying to get to at the end of this process is a really clear tactical action plan. So it's not as much a strategic plan about where strategically do I want to take this business, as it is an action plan for how am I going to get the things done that I need to get done to get where I want to be in 12 months.
Okay.
So creating that action plan means that we have to look through all the stuff that surfaced during the chaos phase and pick the best of greatest hits.
The ones that can make the most impact right now.
Yeah, so the first thing we do is, like I said, kill things off. Second thing we do is if there's anything that could be a quick win, I define that as something that you can do within 2 weeks.
Okay.
So we look for 5 to 10 quick wins, because after going through this process, it's exhausting.
You feel like you got a ton to do, and you feel now behind.
And you need some momentum. And so we look for things that are, maybe you said, I need to buy a new computer
I need
screen.
to create a system for onboarding. I have people hiring, and I know that that's stressful because I have to onboard a ton of people.
I don't know if that would be a quick win.
Really?
See, that's a bigger project.
So
a quick win would be something like, I need a new external monitor and it's driving me crazy. Or
so things that I can literally do today or within a couple weeks, like you said.
Yeah.
Okay, got it.
So finding those quick wins and picking them creates momentum, and especially if you've involved your employees in the process, it shows them that all of the feedback that they gave wasn't for no reason. That things are actually going to get done, and they see little changes starting to happen around the office.
Okay.
That's what the quick wins are all about. Then from what's left, everything that's left is going to be a sizable project that takes hours of time for you to actually dig in and hard thought, or maybe you need to build a team to work on it. Those things are projects. So what we usually look for is, can we group things together? Think of it if like you were cleaning out a closet or something, and you realized that you had pants scattered everywhere, and you said, oh, I could put all these pants together and make a pants section. It's sort of the same thing with the business, that you say, okay, I had a bad onboarding process, and I have no way to train people, and my employees can't log in anywhere to see their pay stubs. Well, you've got an HR system issue, and so we create a project out of that says, by this date, that later this year, we will have a fully functional HR system that tracks someone through being a candidate to being an employee that's receiving ongoing support and training. So we make that project, and then along the way there's going to be steps and milestones that are like, okay, step 1, I need to clarify our roles and responsibilities. Step 2, let's figure out what's our hiring process. Step 3, what's our training process. Do you see how that?
So let's talk about that. Let's say you own a fitness studio right now, and you're like, all right, I need to get some more instructors in. I also want to get a couple good salespeople in. What are some tools that you've recommended to your clients that they can dig into to be able to really start finding some good applicants? Sure.
So there's a few tools. Mostly what someone's looking for is it's called an applicant tracking system. So ATS, if you're Googling things. The one that we use is called breezy.hr. Okay. And what an applicant tracking system is it's a process almost like a Trello board, if you've used Trello, where you take someone through stages. So maybe the first stage is that you've sourced a person. Okay. Next stage is maybe somebody that's applied. The next stage is that they've had a phone screen. The next stage is that they've had an in-person interview. Next stage is maybe they've done some sample project or some round 2 interview. Next stage could be an offer, and then the next stage could be that they've accepted. So that whole process is an applicant tracking process. And at each point in that process, you might be testing on different things, asking different questions, getting different opinions from people on your team, commenting on that. And so a system like Breezy is a centralized place to put all that content. So now, to take a step back to recruiting, I start with the system because once you recruit, you've got to have somewhere to put them. But for recruiting, for us, the best place to look has actually been LinkedIn. Really? For fitness studios, I'm not sure if trainers are necessarily on LinkedIn, but any other network like Facebook or like some fitness-related network would probably be a great place to start.
Because you can use the filters to start searching by titles.
Exactly. So what we've done is we upgraded to the LinkedIn Premium accounts, which give us some filtering capability. Personally, I think that the hiring a recruiter is not going to last too much longer.
Well, especially for a position in a small fitness studio.
Yeah.
I think if you're looking for a CFO,
it's tough. It's expensive.
Yeah, it is expensive for the role.
Yeah. So my best suggestion to someone that's looking to hire for their team is to designate someone on your team that will be the research and intake person on the team. Okay. And if you can't find that person on your team, you can find great people on services like Upwork that will do that for you. So they will do the research on LinkedIn or whatever other network. They'll find candidates and ask them to apply. They'll process applications. They'll look at resumes, and then they'll give you a screened list of people that are a good fit. Okay. That's the hardest part of the process, and that's what I see business owners wasting the most time on, because it's important to find the right people, but as the owner, it's not the best use of your time to be scouring the world for those people and reading every resume.
Now, you have a lot of, I would say probably most people in the world would not classify themselves as a salesperson. They say, oh no, I don't do sales. I'm not a salesperson. But everyone becomes a salesperson for at least 30 minutes in an interview. Yeah. Right? And so they know how to sell themselves. They have a good idea as to what the person's looking for and what that ideal position would probably need out of their character. And so they may exaggerate certain characteristics of themselves or weaknesses or coincidentally strengths and all that stuff, right? So how do you I use personality assessments, but I'm sure there's tools that I haven't heard of that you use, or maybe I have heard of them, but talk to me about the importance of personality assessments quickly, and then what tools that you recommend for that.
Yeah, so the tool I use is a Kolbe test. Have you heard of the Kolbe A
Kolbe?
index? Yeah, it's Kolbe.
Okay.
So search Kolbe. They're actually based in Phoenix, but they're world renowned for what they do. What they find is your conative ability or your instinctual abilities to do certain things. So all of us naturally have some disposition that, we're a researcher and we like to dig into the facts, or we make quick snap judgments.
You're sociable, you're analytical, you're more customer service oriented.
As entrepreneurs, we're what they call quick start, where we just jump in and get going and make progress, whereas other people are a little more reserved and want to evaluate options. And so there's this scale on 4 different spectrums that Kolbe measures, and it's really helpful for understanding the type of person that and how they'll act in your company. So they have it's cheap, it's $50 a person. So for us, we do it at one of the last stages of our screening process before we make an offer, just as a final check to make sure that what we think is right. They offer this other product called a Kolbe C, which will let you as the owner or someone on your team fill out an assessment for the position. So as I'm thinking about this position, what do I want in this position? And it'll build kind of the shell that you hope the person fits into.
And it'll show like how much they comply
Yeah,
with
and then
it.
as they take their assessment, it'll show you how they score. So we've got recruiting efforts, which we pay hourly for. Then we've got an ATS, an applicant tracking system that manages the hiring process. Then we've got Kolbe, which is the assessment that validates that they're the right person for the job. And then we move into our HR system, which we use a system called KIN HR, K-I-N HR. So what that system does is we add a new employee, and it has a built-in checklist of all the things that we need to do for that employee. Set up the email address, order business cards, do the, add them to Dropbox, add them to all the other systems, add them to our training system. So it manages the onboarding process with due dates. That system is also where employees get their performance reviews. It's where we set quarterly objectives for the employee.
Wow, that's good.
It's where they request time
Most
off.
people aren't doing performance reviews, and that's something I think is really important. And also, we were taught the importance by one of my coaches of having like a standard HR. Like when somebody starts with us, we draw the line and define what is sexual harassment, what is harassment in general with all the different areas, what they should do, what they shouldn't do. And then this way, if somebody crosses a line, maybe this person's definition of crossing the line is not matched up with this person's definition. We were able to define it, and it keeps the company protected. Right. So does this offer that as well?
Absolutely. So when you add someone into the HR system, you actually put their start date. How many people have hired someone and forgot that they were starting until the morning of, and you're scrambling and you're like, what do I do? Well, what this system does is you put their start date in there. Before their start date, it'll automatically send out the emails. It'll ask them to digitally sign the handbook. It'll send them a welcome email with instructions and an agenda for what their first day looks like. So it starts the process off with an employee as a great experience.
Okay, sounds good. So now we got the employee on board.
Yes.
We have an onboarding process set up.
Yes.
We have how to unlock the doors, how to turn the lights on, how to greet people at the door. All these things are stuff that it's pretty much our standard, right? But do we want to take up an employee's time to teach them how to do this every single time? And then if they forget, they're human, it's likely to happen. You've taught me the value of documenting and creating videos to train and let them go through the stuff that they're going to have to go through a training process that actually lives in a certain place. You use Trainual, which coincidentally enough, you are the founder of.
Yes.
But the whole concept is I can go through these basics on my own because we make videos. I don't need to have employees take up time and train them and shadow and all that. They go through this basic stuff, and after each little module, there's like a quiz to make sure they absorbed it all, right? And then you can have them go back and take those quizzes once a month, once a quarter, whatever you like. But if, let's say, I forget this process, being human, I can always go back and watch the video, right?
Right. So it's kind of like a wiki or something where, you know, everything, all of your processes exist, all of your documented how-tos of how to do a job exist. And it could be just the basics of the company, overview of the company, here's our core values, here's our philosophies, here's how to get in, like you said. But then it could be job role training. So for instance, my last company, my video company, we had over 300 camera operators around the country. Wow. Subcontract, but you know, that we had to ramp up to record an event. We had a very particular training process where we wanted to show them some videos, make sure they absorb the content. Here's a test. Here, you know, fill out the quiz. Let's score you, and then let's approve you so that you can work with us. That's what this system does. Is it manages that. So if you're either if you're trying to build a central repository for your company, or if you have a position like a trainer that you're filling all the time, and maybe it's kind of like a revolving door, or it's an entry-level thing, and you don't want to waste time training the same stuff, that's where to put it.
And you could upload videos, templates, scripts, quizzes, all
videos, screenshots, photos, links, PDFs, all that.
Okay. Right now, generally what I'm noticing, especially with a small business, you know, we fitness studios, sometimes it's the spouse that's helping with the payroll and the bookkeeping and stuff like that. And we did have an episode on bookkeeping and accounting, but what are some tools that you've used or recommended for that kind of stuff?
So bookkeeping, accounting, I'll talk about them separately. So for years, I used a system called Bench. Bench.co, amazing system, and I'm a big advocate. I know they work with a lot of fitness studios. Bench is a great place to start to get your books in order, to see a monthly profit and loss statement, an income statement, to prepare everything for your taxes. So if numbers and finances and everything are just something you don't want to have anything to do with, but you want to know that behind you, the wake of financial transactions is being cleaned up by someone, Bench is a great resource. So I highly recommend Bench. If you are wanting more of like a CFO kind of financial guidance, where maybe you're higher level with your financial understanding, and you want to see the numbers and make decisions based on them, and have somebody to talk through things with, then I actually use the same bookkeeping service you do, which is Accounting Pros.
Okay,
Christina.
and we had them on the show too. I don't remember what episode it was, but Sam put it on the screen.
Yeah.
47? Okay, cool.
Yeah, so the team at Accounting Pros is great, and I highly recommend them as well.
Now, the average business owner can't afford to have, a small business owner, can't afford to necessarily have like a full-time assistant. But they have a lot of little things that they get stuck in the mud doing because somebody's got to do it, and they don't want to apply these tasks to like a fitness instructor or something like that. But it's restricting them from working on the things that nobody else in the company is able to work on, right? So what are the alternatives if I can't afford a full-time assistant? What are the alternatives?
Well, there's a lot of them. So two of the most popular ones, the ones I recommend, are called Fancy Hands and Time, etc. So Time, etc.
Okay.
I'll talk about the difference. So Fancy Hands starts, I think, at $30 a month or something, so really cheap. What's great about Fancy Hands is it is an on-demand, non-dedicated kind of service. So you don't have the same person, maybe ever, that will work on a task for you.
It's like the Uber of tasks,
exactly.
Right? Like you don't know who your Uber driver is going to be, you just know you'll get a ride.
Yeah, but if you say, you know, I've got this sheet that I want to send you a scanned version of, and I want you to spend a couple hours turning that into a spreadsheet for me and typing it over, they can do that. If you say, I need someone to research me the best flights, or
find the next 10 conferences for
find
fitness.
10 conferences, or find the most popular blogs on this topic so that I can learn about this topic, or buy, even financial, it will store all your financial information securely through the system, so they can make purchases on Amazon and things like that.
They'll do all that too.
Yeah.
And I remember when I had him, I actually, because I used him because you taught me when I hired you as my coach the first time, I actually would send them videos, and I would ask them to turn that into like PDFs or white papers or giveaways, stuff that you can say on your website, like for our top 10 foods to boost metabolism, you know, click here, and they click there, they put in their name, email, now you have that, right?
Yeah.
But then you can actually, in a video, because some people just don't want to type it all up and design it. You say it in a video, and then you send it to them, and they'll actually do it for you.
It's amazing what they can do. I had someone once record a parody of a Frank Sinatra song that, you know, it sounds like such a weird request, but I said, you know, can you write lyrics and record a version of Fly Me to the Moon that talks about whatever topic? And they did that, and I was testing how far I could
Was that
go.
Russ Perry?
That was for Russ.
Yeah.
It was about pickles. Yeah.
I got his CDs about pickles, 2 songs.
Yeah.
So one of the things that help fitness studio owners grow is obviously advertising, not just on Facebook, not just on Instagram, but also through email and contacts where they may print flyers in order to have to attract people to an event that they may have, a clinic, just get people in the door, right? Mm-hmm. But that requires some design skill. And so you mentioned Design Pickle, so we'll talk a little bit about them, but I also want to talk about another tool called Canva that you use. Mm-hmm. What's the difference between the two, and why would somebody use one versus another?
So it really just depends on where you're at and how frequent your need is. So Canva.com is a do-it-yourself graphic design program where they have a massive library of resources, and it's very easy to, in the browser, design your own content.
And they actually have like templated dimensions already. So it's like if you want to create a Facebook cover, here's the size for that.
Yeah.
An Instagram ad, here's the size for that. So that's all set already.
Yeah, so that's a great place to start. If you don't have the either design skills or the time to put into that, Design Pickle is an unlimited graphic design service that you subscribe to for a flat monthly price, and you can just request unlimited types of things. So whether it's business cards for your new employee, mm-hmm. or a flyer for an upcoming event, or any sort of online ad or Instagram memes or anything you want.
And we've had the founder of Design Pickle, Russ Perry, on the show as well. You see how good you are, Sam. What episode was that?
20.
20?
Oh, didn't you
wow.
tour a pickle factory?
We went to a pickle factory, yeah. So if you guys could get a chance to watch that one, we actually went in a pickle factory. I rode a pickle. That was pretty interesting. I didn't even know that was going to ever happen in my life. I would have never bet money on that happening. But I did. I rode a pickle. You got me on Evernote. And I think Evernote's great for business owners because we're constantly reading books, or at least we should be regularly reading books to learn about how to improve certain areas, right? We're always in college when we're a business owner. We're always learning a new chapter, a new skill. But not only books, but meeting with coaches, learning from videos, podcasts, going to conferences and or seminars and learning from people. So many different places you learn. And then what I think most people do is they kind of like go, they get motivated and they forget, and they forget they even learned stuff. So you taught me the value of using Evernote. Tell me a little bit more about Evernote.
So Evernote is like my personal Google. That's how I think of it, because everything in Evernote is searchable. Okay. So I have a Chrome, my browser, I have a Chrome plugin for Evernote. So if I'm on a page or an article that I like, I clip it into Evernote. If I download an ebook from someone, a free book or a checklist or something like that, I save it into Evernote. If I get mail or bills or anything like that, I scan it into Evernote. I have a service that syncs all my bank statements and everything into Evernote.
Really?
I have a...
so if I hack into your Evernote and erase, it's a pretty bad day for you.
It's backed up.
Of course it is. What tool do you use?
But everything's in there. Business cards when I meet someone get scanned into there. My notes when I'm in a meeting get put into there. So for me, it's if I want to search for a topic or something, I know I was in a meeting about this, or I know I sat through a session about this, or I read an ebook about this. I can just search for a topic, and instead of having to filter through all the clutter on Google of everything I could ever possibly ever see, here's the stuff that I've captured that I know is relevant.
Okay. And you taught me the value of the 4 Ds.
Mm-hmm.
You remember what those are?
Yeah,
it was a while ago. I don't know if you still preach it. Okay, so let's talk about the 4 Ds, because I know that this is something I definitely wasn't doing, and now I am always doing. And we talked to Kelsey about doing it as well. So where does the 4 Ds play in, and what is it?
So the 4 Ds is a principle from Getting Things Done that I've adapted to our process and what we do. And so the 4 Ds are, first, when everything's coming into your life, you have to take time to process it. And that's where most people get stuck. They don't process things, and then they just build up and build up and build up. So whether it's your email or your physical mail or anything that comes into your life, you've got to process and figure out what to do with it so that you're not reviewing over and over and over again. Like if you've got an email that's just sitting in your inbox and you look at it and you do something, you look at it and then you look at it and you look at it.
Keep going to it.
You're just indecisive, and that time adds up. So if instead when you process, you make a decision about what you're going to do, it saves you a ton of time.
Okay.
So the 4 Ds. First D is delete.
Okay.
So if this was mail or something, you might be standing at your mailbox and just throw things away, the spam. If it's coming into your email, again, spam or just the trash button.
Okay.
The next thing is delegate. So if anyone else can do whatever that thing is, you forward the email or you drop the paper on someone's desk or you call them and you delegate that task and make sure you track it so you can know that it got done.
Okay.
So delegate's number 2. The next one is do. So if it's something that you can do quickly, they say in the book less than 2 minutes, just knock it out. Maybe this is a reset your password, or your credit card expired, or you just need to tell someone something.
But longer than 2 minutes, make a different decision.
Yes. So if it's something you can quickly do, you don't want your processing session to take you hours.
Okay.
So you don't do everything. You do the quick things to get them out of the way. And everything else you defer. That's the last one. You defer it into a couple places. You can defer it onto your calendar if it's a physical event. You can defer it through a system like a Boomerang or Gmail that makes it come back to your email, or you can defer it to a task list, which I use Todoist. What that does is it puts all of the things you have to do onto a place that you can work proactively from.
And not just blow up your email and just keep it piling up and eventually it gets oversaturated.
Yes.
Okay. You actually have what's called the Simple Six, right? What's the Simple Six?
Yeah, so the Simple Six is at Organize Chaos, we've worked with hundreds of businesses, all different industries, and we see these same issues coming up over and over again. So we talked about some of them, but just how to be generally more productive with tasks and emails, people, finance, automation, so all those topics that we see over and over again, we bundled into a 6-part email course.
Okay.
So it's just 6 emails, nothing beyond that. And if you go to organizechaos.com/thesimple6, you can get on that list.
Okay, sounds good. And then you also have a book. Let's put that on the screen, Sam, so we can see it. So tell me about the book that you have as well.
Yeah, so the book is called 100 Hacks, and I've been doing newsletters, weekly newsletters for entrepreneurs about hacks, tricks, tips, services, tools, everything that I find to make your business or life easier. After I did the first 100 or more than 100, I bundled together my 100 favorite tips and created this 100 hacks to make your business better. So
I'm going to be honest with you. I'm not saying this because you're here. And I know you know this is true because I've replied to emails and stuff like that. You have to be the only person that sends a weekly email to me that I actually open up and read.
Oh, I'm honored.
I get great emails from great people, that I've opted into stuff for, and I've said, yeah, I want to be on the list. But honestly, sometimes I just like delete, because I'm like, I don't really need to learn this right now. Every email you send, I open up because there's always the first few experiences, that's how it works, right? The first few experiences were great. I'm like, wow, that's a cool tool. How did I not think of that? And then I get this, and then I get this, and I'll reply to you. I'm like, this is amazing. This is exactly what I was looking for. So there's apps coming out every day, right? Yeah. And all these apps that you actually research are for the purpose of being more efficient, more productive, more time or money saving. And then every week you test these tools, and you actually are guinea pig for them yourself. And then after, if you like it and you really see the benefit of switching to it, you'll then share in your email list to people and you explain the benefits of it, right?
Yeah, absolutely. So we have, like I said, hundreds of clients we've worked with, and just through finding solutions for those businesses, when we implement one thing, we might have had to look at 20 other things to know that was the right thing for them. So we've just amassed this huge list of tools, and so as we curate those and find ones we think would be popular, we share them every week.
Have you ever watched a show, Price is Right?
Yeah.
Okay, I want you to imagine you get a brand new car if you're within the 5 of this. Ready? How many apps would you say you have downloaded in your life? If you're within 5, you win a brand new car. That's how accurate you have to be.
How many apps? 2,250.
That's a lot of apps, man. Most people probably have never even thought that that's possible.
Oh, they exist.
They exist. How many would you have deleted?
2,246.
Yeah. I have 4 apps on my phone right now because you're so simple and productive.
Keep it simple.
So you also are a big advocate of learning and staying ahead of the game, obviously with the app world, but in general, I think the most successful business owners are constantly learning, whether it's through books, through podcasts, through mentorship, coaching, whatever it is. And I know you said you listen to some podcasts. I know you read occasionally as well. Where would you say you personally get a lot of your education from when it comes to productivity? Who do you follow? What things do you like to read and listen to?
Yeah, so the podcasts that I love are mostly future-oriented podcasts. So things that just get my mind working, because I think when you stretch your mind and think about future possibilities, you become less tolerant of current inefficiencies.
It's like Radiolab, one of them.
Yeah, love Radiolab.
Radiolab's pretty cool.
Yeah, listen to Radiolab. There's one by Dan Sullivan and Peter Diamandis called Exponential Wisdom, which is a 20-minute podcast that comes out every few weeks, and it's amazing.
Okay.
So check that one out.
But only after you watch a GSD show or listen to that one.
That has to be the top of the list.
Because this is top priority. And then go.
If you have extra time.
If you have extra time
after
after
the show. If you're efficient enough to have extra podcast time.
Yes.
There's a The Future of Everything by the Wall Street Journal is pretty cool. Those are a couple I've been listening to. Then Smart Passive Income, Pat Flynn, that one's fun.
Pat Flynn's awesome. I saw him speak at Thrive. Okay. Talk about your top 5 favorite books of all time, regardless of what issue you were going through. Just ones you were like, I'm really glad I read that book. That made an impact in my life.
I've got to say 4-Hour Workweek was by
Tim Ferriss, who also has a great podcast, by the way. And book Tools of Titans is great.
Yeah, that's a good book. So that was influential in shaping what I wanted to do. Checklist Manifesto, I always think back on because I'm so process, procedure, system driven. That was written by a surgeon, I think, an ER doctor, that how big a difference checklists made in a hospital setting.
Wow.
So that's
Read
a cool
that
one.
Okay.
There is one called Making Ideas Happen,
okay,
which was by the founders of Behance, I think it was called.
Okay.
And really great book. There's the ones by the 37 Signals guys, Rework.
Rework was great. And that was the easiest read I've ever gone
Simple.
through. It was like every chapter was a page or a page and a half.
Yeah.
And so I would finish a chapter and it was like, I look and the next one's only a page. I'm like, I'll just read the next one. I finished the book in like 3 hours.
Yeah.
Because I felt like I was only one chapter away.
And then Drive by Daniel Pink is great for just motivation and how to build culture and how to reward employees and do it the right way.
There's a great video that kind of summarizes it as well. If you go to YouTube and type in Daniel Pink Drive, you'll see it. But I mean, you can get more details in the book too.
Yeah. So those are a couple.
Awesome, guys. Chris, I can't think of a guy, and I bet you our circle, which we have a pretty big circle with the Accelerator and Entrepreneur Organization. There's probably not one person that people would say, oh yeah, this guy's more efficient than Chris. This guy's more productive than Chris, or knows more about productivity than Chris. He's just incredible. And if you get to go to chrisronzio.com, follow him and what he does, the apps, I definitely recommend getting on his email list. I've been on so many and I've opted out of so many. Yours is the one I just can't opt out of because I'm afraid to not know about the next app you find out about. It's great. So I definitely recommend checking out his email list as well and just seeing what he's got going on. Thank you very much for everything you've done for me and for providing all this great value to the people that were listening in and watching today. Any last words of wisdom, advice from Chris Ronzio?
Take a vacation. You deserve it.
Take it from him and trip. Thank you very much for watching or listening or however you tuned in today, and we will see you next week. Hey, it's Mike again, and if you remember earlier in this episode, I told you to stick around and I'll show you one of Chris Ronzio's other many talents. So, here it is.
Doesn't it do the... I met this girl late last year.
Said, don't you worry if it disappears.
She says, I was on the phone. I need the words. I don't know the words.
Jesse's lost. Here we go. You need to be louder.
La 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 la. I love that. La 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 la. Met this girl late last year. She said, don't you worry if I disappear.
I told her I'm not really looking for another mistake. I called an old friend thinking that the trouble would wait.
But then I jumped right in a week later. I reckon she was only looking for a lover to burn. But I gave her my time for 2 or 3 nights. Then I put her on pause till the moment was right.
Wait 4 months till our paths cross again. I had the whole shit.
She told me I was never looking for a friend. Maybe you could swing by my room around 10. Baby, bring a lemon and a bottle of gin. Between the sheets till the late a.m.
All right, so as you can tell, the man can sing. And on a scale of 1 to 10, it's probably a 4 compared to his skills in business. So make sure you download that hack I gave you earlier and make sure you start implementing all the amazing advice that he gave in this episode. Thanks again, Chris, for all that help, and thank you all for watching. We'll see you next week. Thanks so much for joining us today. If you like this episode, then subscribe to our podcast on iTunes, Google Play, or Stitcher, and to our YouTube channel to never miss an episode. You can get all the links by going to thegsdshow.com. Thanks, and see you next time.